Nice to meet you.
What's going on? Nice to meet you guys.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been a fan of Geoff Tate for a long time. That was actually my first concert I ever went to was Queensrÿche and Kiss. I think that's when Queensrÿche first came out. So are you guys currently on tour right now?
No, we're doing some sort of a VIP experience with the fans.
Oh,
So Geoff organizes trips around the world, and right now we will spend a month in Tuscany with four different groups of fans. And this idea basically is called Backstage Pass Travel,
okay.
and it's something that Geoff does in different part of the world.
So you guys are on this VIP thing right now.
Yes.
So you're meeting with the fans, and how's that going for you?
It's good. I mean, this is the fourth year now that we've done it here in Tuscany. It's my third year coming here, and it's nice because a lot of the times it's people that we've already met before. So
That's
like
cool.
it's like it's us hanging out with friends. Dario's wife Samantha, she cooks meals for us every night as well for everyone in total. So probably for about 30 people, and it's like some of the best Italian food you'll
Oh,
ever
thank
have.
you.
Yeah, yeah. And then we all kind of sit around a fireplace and we just jam music. Whether it's like so we got a bunch more other Irish guys here with us. So we can do some Irish songs, some original stuff, some of Jeff's back catalogue, and just songs that we find interesting too. And yeah, it's nice and intimate, you know.
Yeah, are you guys working on any new material with Jeff right now?
There is some new stuff in the pipeline. We're kind of not really. I haven't really been involved with it that much. I'm kind of mainly focusing on my own original stuff at the moment. But I think you've done some.
Yes, I recorded a solo on the album that which is basically is already in the press. It's going to be Minecraft 3, but the majority of the songs they were written years ago by Kieran Robertson and Alex Hart, I think. And right now Amaury Altmaier, the French guitar player, the third guitar player in the band, is working in his studio on some extra songs.
Mm.
Oh, that's good. Now, when you guys are collaborating, as both guitar players, I mean, how do you guys divide up the solos and decide who does what? And how do you collaborate as far as ideas go? Because as a guitar player myself, I know that usually I think my ideas are always the best. So I've always had a hard time working with other guitar players because of it. So I'd always, just find somebody that's willing to sit back and play rhythm guitar. Because I have worked with other guitarists that were at my level and my caliber, but that always was a major conflict because both of us had our own vision on how things were supposed to go. So you guys are obviously, proficient, both of you. So how do you guys work that out? Collaborating and writing material. Th- does that present a challenge to you, or do you do you have a method of how you guys decide on which ideas you're gonna continue with, or what you're gonna throw away? Because again, I know everybody has their own vision. So that's got to be a challenge for two guitar players at your level. How do you guys do that? How do you guys work that out?
Well, I think it's more so a case of we both really respect each other as musicians too. So whenever ideas are put on the table, we kind of have like the faith with each other, and we trust what the other person is envisioning in a sense, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yes, absolutely.
yeah.
And it also depends on what we're working on. For example, if we're trying to propose an idea, a musical idea to Geoff, of course, Geoff would be the first judge, you know what I mean? And then if we're splitting guitar parts, and I'm talking about preparing songs from the classics from Queensrÿche. We usually, at least me and James, I usually play more of the Michael Wilton stuff, and James is more the, as you can see from the hat.
How's the hat? Yeah.
It's more in
Chris the
Chris the Garmo stuff. Yeah,
that's cool. That's cool. So, do you guys, when you're writing new material, do you guys reference the older material to try to keep the same vibe, or do you try to, you know, present to Geoff something new and completely, you know, off the wall and, you know, different? Because obviously you guys are younger than, you know, like Chris DeGarmo and Michael Wilton, and so you're obviously your inspirations are much, you know, more recent than theirs, I would assume.
Yeah, it depends on the project Geoff is working on. For example, with this Mindcrime third album, I mean, that is about to be released, I think that, of course, the album is a little bit reminiscent of the Operation Mindcrime 1, of the first album released in 1988, but at the same time, it has a modern twist to it. Of course, if he's working on a different project, probably even Geoff, he preferred to have, you know, like
a different approach.
A different approach, yeah.
But I also feel like, especially one thing I noticed in my playing is I've been playing with Geoff now for 5 years, and because his back catalog is so ingrained into my head that with my own original project, I even feel like there's elements of some of the Queensrÿche stuff starting to appear, because since we're touring for like almost 6 to 7 months of the year, so like when you're repeatedly playing the same kind of style of music, you almost like kind of like absorb it.
Yeah,
in a sense.
I agree. The chords inversion, main feature, of the style. Yeah, absolutely.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. So you're definitely inspired, you know, because of the fact that you've been playing that style for 6-7 months, and so now. What kind of I know I asked you if you guys are writing any new material right now. How many albums have you done with Geoff so far? And what is in your opinion, probably the best project that you guys have done with Geoff? I saw that you guys were doing a tour based on the older material, as you were just mentioning, 6 to 7 months. When do you guys have time to write?
That's true. As I said before, the upcoming album, Operation Mindcrime 3, it's basically Geoff started collecting songs many years ago. And when he started collecting the song, me and James were already in the band, but he already started writing with other guitar players. So I had to end up putting a solo on the album, and the new guitar player, as I said before, is writing some extra song, and at the same time Geoff is working on other projects, so he's working on a solo album as well, and he's also involved with this Italian project called Sweet Oblivion. So
you've done some stuff with them.
I've done some stuff with them in the past. I recorded a solo on one of the songs, and probably we will be guests on that album as well, which is a Hades sounding metal album. So yes, that's true. We are Geoff. We tour a lot. You know, we are constantly on the road. So of course, if you have a good idea, you have to be quick and grab it before it's lost in the universe. Because yes, we're usually very busy every day. Plus, you know, I was talking about this the trips, backstage bus travel trip. Yeah. It's a huge thing about Geoff Tate, you know, because we spend weeks and weeks, besides touring, traveling the world and playing music for this VIP, let's say, experience. Yeah. So we're constantly on the road. So that's true. Yeah. That's difficult, but you know, so far since we joined the band, I think that we already had that experience in Montana when we settled in a specific place, and it was basically a studio that we created in the
we converted a basement of an Airbnb, like it was like a mountain lodge,
and we spent a couple of weeks working on music together. Yeah,
I want to back up a little bit with you guys, okay? First of all, for both of you, what was the first guitar riff that you guys learned that really made you think to yourself that's what you wanted to do for life, play guitar? I'll tell you mine. It was Smoke on the Water.
That's actually also mine as well.
That's right. It was yours as well?
Yeah, because when I was young, I started playing guitar when I was 7, and like the music teacher I had was she was great, but it was mainly learning like nursery rhymes and just basic chords and everything. So when I was finally shown like an actual like rock riff, that's when I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. This is what I want to do.
Yeah. No, for me, I think it was an arpeggio, and it was a piece of music that it's in a very short song that is part of The Wall by Pink Floyd.
Oh, nice.
So it's the song is called Goodbye Cruel World. It's a easy arpeggio around D major, D suspended fourth. And so yes, probably that was the first rock thing that I did, on a classical, on a nylon string guitar, yeah.
So how old were you then when you first started? He said 7. How old were you when you first?
7 for me.
I think I was 8. Yes,
That's awesome.
I was 8 years old. Yeah.
Now, did you guys? You mentioned a female teacher, and she was teaching you nursery rhymes. When did you really get into the rock thing? Was it with that female teacher? How about you? I mean, what got you guys really into?
It was, for me, I guess it was when I discovered that you could learn guitar online, and I got my first electric, and then I just around the time the Red Hot Chili Peppers were, like, surprisingly were my favorite band, and same with Pink Floyd as well. And then I just went on a deep dive of all their back catalog, and yeah, I kind of just became obsessed with like just learning stuff. Like I'd come home from school, wouldn't really bother with homework, and I would just like put up my laptop and see what I could learn,
For the joy of your parents.
Yeah.
No, I started. I'm older. I'm 46, so I started at the end of the 80s, and I already was into rock music. But my parents said, "Okay, it's probably better if you're classically trained at the beginning." That was used to be a thing in Italy. So I started on classical guitar, but my purpose since day one was trying to give the same dignity to electric guitar, to rock guitar. So I started to be focused on learning how to write and transcribe music. And so I started buying books, especially Japan scores, and do my corrections, using tapes and try to slow down tapes and do little corrections on tabs and stuff like that. And and I think that was very important for my career. It's one of my probably forte, that I know the arrangements of some specific bands, because I transcribe lots and lots of music. And but at the same time, yes, it's something that it had to do with my classical background.
And then you, I assume that, like everybody, from that era, you were probably influenced by Randy Rhoads at some point, I would assume.
Yes, I did. It's correct. I did. When I was a kid, Randy Rhoads and also Jakey Lee. I liked his playing on the Osbourne albums. They were very influential to me. And some sort of guitar heroes, not just as guitar players, but they were phenomenal also on stage, as stage presence. And so they were rock gods to me because I was a kid. But of course, from a musical standpoint, they were absolutely phenomenal. But,
absolutely. And for the same for me with Randy, that's what got me into classical music to begin with. What about for you, James? Kind of training have you had, or what are your influences? Growing up as far as music goes, and you mentioned Pink Floyd also, David
Yeah.
Gilmour, which is a great influence to have. He's so tasteful.
Yeah, for me, I kind of did a lot of learning by myself. My dad was a harmonica player and he had kind of like a blues kind of rock cover band as well. So by the age of 15, I'm gonna say, I started playing with them. I would just come along to their gigs with my own gear and just set up. And yeah, I kind of threw myself into the deep end with that. So that's where I kind of learned a lot about like improvising and stuff. I don't really have that much classical training or even a lot of theory as well. Like I really should brush up on those skills. But I kind of just learned a lot by just throwing myself into the deep end. And yeah, you kind of just things kind of just started clicking for me in a sense. But yeah, it was mainly just a lot of classic rock, a little bit of blues, then kind of almost more funk as well. I didn't really get more into the metal side of things until I actually joined with Geoff. That's when I kind of started to deep dive because I had to like kind of almost like adapt my style a bit more to kind of make it a bit more like precise in a sense, because a lot of times before. Yeah, a lot of times before I'd improvise everything, and
Kind of loose.
yeah, so I had to kind of like focus a bit. Yeah,
I want to elaborate and compliment you on that because a lot of the younger artists today, what they're lacking, in my opinion, is the experience. Most of them are sitting in their room playing guitar, and some of them are phenomenal, but
yeah,
they're they're lacking that experience, and I think that's crucial in developing your own voice as a musician. When you guys agree, you
yeah. No,
got to get out there and
yeah,
play. I one of my friends, he said something that I've never forgot in one of the interviews that he did, and his advice to younger musicians was to just get out there and play, play, play. You know, and no matter what, even if you suck, just get out there, play, because that experience alone, that one performance, you can learn a lot from. And
yeah. No, I agree 100% with that as well.
It's the greatest workout.
Yeah,
For sure, yeah.
yeah, so for you, I mean, that's excellent that you got out there and you're just doing it. And
yeah,
that's something that a lot of the younger artists, as I mentioned, lack. So kudos to you, man, because obviously you're good enough for Geoff Tate. So I'll definitely have to check you out and check out some of your solo stuff, even if you have any.
Well, I actually, if you notice the name on Zoom right now, it says Mark Daly.
Yes.
He's an Irish artist. I've been playing with him for 7 years now. Yeah, we're using his laptop for this interview, and I just realized it's just him that's signed in. But we just released an album last September called Devil's Arms, and you can definitely hear a lot of the influence of my playing on that. We have one song in particular called Brighter Days, and that has got probably the most Pink Floyd influence there. And then also there's like a tiny bit of Queensrÿche as well when it comes to the chorus.
Okay.
I think you
Yeah, yeah.
that part. And yeah. And then next week on the 16th, we have a new single coming out because we have another record coming out at the end of the year. So that's a lot of I put a lot of my time and energy and writing into working with Mark, because I mean, yeah, we've been working together for 7+ years now, I think. And Mark is the reason how I met Geoff and got into playing with Geoff Tate.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So are you guys signed? Do you have a
Yes.
label? Oh, you know.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. We've been signed to a label now for, geez, 3.5 years or something, I feel like. It's called One Opportunity Records, and they're great. They're just very supportive of us, and yeah, because of them, we managed to, like, we did some shows with Geoff. We were on tour with Mr. Big when they were doing their farewell tour. We did like 2 weeks of shows around the New England area with them. And just recently we did a 2-month tour supporting Richie Kotzen as well.
Nice.
And we just have a new tour that we just got confirmed yesterday or the day before, but I can't talk about it at the moment because it hasn't been announced yet. So,
Yeah, definitely congratulations with that, you know.
and thank you.
And where can I find your music? Either, both of you, actually. Where are you guys on
So,
Spotify or Apple Music or
yeah, if you look up either on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, Amazon, if you just look up Mark Daly, it should come up. Yeah, and then our latest record is called Devil's Arms,
I got that.
and our single next week is called Superhero.
Nice. Now, what about
Cool.
you?
And yes, I used to play. I used to play in a progressive metal band in Europe called Headless, and we released 3 albums. And but now I quit the band. They're moving on because I'm so busy with Geoff. So
Right, that's good.
they released a new album. No, they're about to release a new album, and I released 3 albums with them, Growing Apart, Melt the Eyes Away, and Square One. And we had Göran Edman on voice. He used to sing for Yngwie Malmsteen. He's a Swedish vocalist.
Nice.
And Martin Hellmantel, the bass player for Elegy, a progressive metal band from the Netherlands, is part of the Fall too. And yes, basically I quit the band like in 2023 because I'm so busy with Geoff, so I cannot keep my
That's
feet
good.
also on that other field.
That's good, though, you know.
And but I released also an album with I'm just did a cameo with Sweet Oblivion, Geoff Tate Part 2. It's a project. Well, Geoff is a guest on that project. It's an Italian project released by Frontiers Record, which is an Italian label. Sorry, and Geoff released 2 albums so far with them, and I did a short cameo on the number 2, Relentless. And I know for sure that they're working on the 3rd album.
Yeah.
And I've been invited to play a couple of things on this new album as well. So it's just a work in progress right now.
It's awesome that you guys are busy, especially in this day and age when it comes to the music industry. It's hard, these days to, be consistent with it and make money. And, I think, through the interviews I've done and, my own personal experience, that the United States is very difficult to make money with music these days and stay, touring and gigging with that style of music that you guys are doing right now, And that seems like it's pretty big over in Europe. It's still pretty big over there. And, obviously you're selling out, stadiums and things of that nature. And it's just, it's very unfortunate, but, to stay busy as an artist these days, I mean, that's absolutely amazing. So I would definitely take advantage of, any opportunity like that, to continuously be busy like that, which, that's definitely inspiring. So how do you guys feel about what I just said, though, about the music industry and, have you guys found it difficult to stay busy over the United States as opposed to over in Europe or, some of the other countries?
No, you know what? Actually, I feel like, especially with Geoff's audience as well, like over here in Europe, there's definitely like more diehard fans, I guess, who want to hear a lot of the older stuff. But in the States, though, it's kind of a mix of everything as well. And I mean, we just finished a 6-week tour there of the States. We were just performing Operation Mindcrime in its entirety, and we had it was almost a full sold out tour. So
Right.
yeah, we've been fortunate enough that we're getting a great response from everything.
Yeah.
Everything too. So
still a lot of diehard fans. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, which is great. It helps that Jeff's an established artist, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, if you were starting a new project over here and trying to do that and stay consistent, that's, you know, more of a challenge, you know.
No, that's definitely the challenge that I have with Mark Daly and the Ravens. Like right now though, we've been touring the States since 2019. I mean, there was obviously that break when there was the pandemic, of course, but now we kind of have a bit of a fan base. But again, it was just thanks to the fact that Geoff was able to bring us out on tour. That helped cover some of the overheads that people don't realize about touring, about like the logistics of transport, like when venues take merchandise cuts, when you have to pay people, if you have to rent any gear. It's almost like everyone has got their hands in the pie, so to speak, you know, taking their cut. And like it feels like the last people to get paid then in the end is the musicians. But yeah, we've been fortunate enough to be lucky and now in a position where we can still go out and tour. Like I mean, we haven't been doing any headline stuff as like recently. Or many just jumping onto opening slots, but we sometimes sprinkle in some headline shows in between as well, you know?
Nice. Now, you just brought up a good point, you know, as far as the overhead, the musician gets paid last. These days, you know, it's you really have to do a lot of the you know, every different aspect of the music yourself, and you know, as far as promoting and stuff like that. So it helps that
Yeah.
you're with an established project. You know?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're very fortunate for that, you know?
Yeah.
Stay consistent like that is great. And that Geoff was nice enough to allow you guys to, I assume, open up for him, right?
Yeah.
To get you guys some exposure and a fan base. Do you have any suggestions for like, you know, aspiring artists these days? Do you have any suggestions for them in dealing with these challenges?
I think the first thing to do is kind of almost start local. But what you should do is like kind of spread your shows out a bit. Like you don't want to be playing your hometown every weekend, you know? You should be kind of doing it like maybe once a month or once every 6 weeks, and then start branching out to other towns that are maybe like 50 miles away, and then just go off and do stuff there and network with other like local and smaller artists too, because sometimes people think that it's all like cutthroat and that like the other bands are rival bands, but that should not be the case. If everyone works together, then everyone can rise together. That's what I think would be the best thing to do. If at least if I was starting a band that was like if I was based in the US, you know. For for international bands like trying to make it over, then there's definitely a lot more of a challenge, you know. But I do think the US is a good place to build a fan base.
Fan base, yeah. What do you think, Dario? What would your
Yes, I think that
go ahead.
probably it's also important to have somebody like a sixth or seventh member of the band taking care of the social medias nowadays, you know, because someone who's very good at spreading the news and it's a skill, you know what I mean? It's,
I agree. And that's challenging. It's frustrating, you know. It's especially when you know, on social media, it's usually everybody just trying to promote themselves and you know, you'll put out a kick-ass album or a new song or something like that. You got 5,000 people on your Facebook page, like me, for example. You post the new song and not one fucking person clicks like on it, you know? It's like, that's frustrating, you know? And
you know, it's very hard. Yeah, it's very hard. And but I mean, probably live music is still the best way. Because you mean when if you have something that resonates with people, probably live music playing constantly. I mean, playing tons and tons of show is the best. to
Get out there.
express yourself, and luckily, create a connection with an audience. And that's very important. But as you said, we're talking about us, as you said before, it's different, especially when we're talking about Geoff Tate, because we've been constantly studying. We try to be very well prepared on our instruments. You have to keep going, and then at some point, you also need to be lucky and catch the train. Is what I mean. Otherwise, because if at some point you're not ready when you have the opportunity to jump on a train, and then probably you're not ready. You're not very well prepared. Your guitar skills are not top notch at that moment in time. Maybe
And these opportunities don't come often. Like you said, it's partially luck, and being in the right place at the right time, in addition to your skills and being prepared,
Absolutely, yes. That's
you also, I think, Dario, you brought up a good point about the social media thing, and you got to get out there playing, and that's how you're really going to establish a fan base, and,
I know,
and get people to be more receptive to your music. I mean, because I got 5,000 people on my Facebook, for example. I don't know any of these people. I have a few friends and a lot of celebrity artists that I'm friends with, but a majority of them I have no idea who they are. And so that's a good point that to get out there and build relationships, do VIP meet and greets like you guys are doing, and constantly be playing as much as you can, getting out there. So I think so. So far that has really been resonating in this whole interview so far, that you got to get out there and just play. Being a younger guy yourself there, James, I think it's, again, absolutely awesome that you didn't just sit in your bedroom, like a lot of the guys, a lot of the younger artists do. And so they're missing a lot of that experience and a lot of those elements to their playing and developing their own voice. I mean, of course, they're getting great technically, but they're still missing the
they're missing some key elements,
the experience itself, And Dario, I'm sure that you can agree with that because you're older.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's I think that this is something that I learned along the way, because of course my background is totally different if compared to James. It's a different generation. I like it for me. It's a different generation. And no, I mean, because when I started playing, for example, but for some extent it was similar to Ireland, because they still have a very a live scene. They love being at the pub and listening to music. So probably when I was in my 20s, it was similar. We had music clubs, and so we did a lot of experience. But I mean, that I think that this is that is probably the most important workout, because not very much about learning how to be on stage and to perform, but probably trying to understand that it's very important for the audience to offer something. You have to be able to during your performance, I mean, to come across is correct in English. That's really a key element. And we have, for example, different people in the Geoff Tate camp, promoters, managers, who are very good at finding the right persons. And all of the people in the Geoff Tate camps are, for example, there is James, who is also a great vocalist, and it's especially when we tour the USA, is in between the three guitar players, is probably the guy who's more than me and Amaury able to convey emotions to the crowd. So it's very appreciated by a large amount of people in Geoff's audience. And but at the same time, as I said before, the managers that we have are very good in finding the right people. Everybody in the team is a 40, and so yes. For example,
talking about
when we do this,
band chemistry, right?
Yeah,
Band chemistry.
exactly. So for example, when we do the trips we were talking about, that we have people coming from different part of the world and they're able to perform, like, for example, Irish music, Italian music, and of course, Geoff Tate's music is the bulk of the. But I mean, yes, at the same time, we have people from Brazil, and so that's and France, and so that's Germany. So it's very interesting, because it's a collection of musicians who come from different parts of the world, and they can also, give their own music, but at the same time also perform music from their own country.
Yeah. I think that's a great point, Dario, because the performance, when you go to see a band play, you can usually tell if the person's bored to fucking death, and that comes across. It comes across, right, to the crowd. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen shows yourselves where you can just tell they're bored to death, and that's the kind of experience that you get as a listener, even if you're not a musician, they can pick up on it, and,
exactly.
Because I've seen shows where the band looked bored to death, and they bored me to death. So I've talked to a lot of guys about this, especially in my own band, to bring that energy every single time, to have that energy, no matter what. I interviewed Joe Lynn Turner. He sang for Rainbow. He sang for Ingrid Malmsteen.
Yeah.
All right.
This guy played with him.
No, that was the guy from Europe, but we share the same company. Europe is part of the Stahl Entertainment. Is part of the roster of the manager that we have in Europe. Yeah.
Well, this guy, I interviewed him. He's 73 years old. Okay, and he's still going. I mean, that's a major inspiration to me. But what he said, what his advice was to aspiring artists, he said that you got to fucking bring it every single time,
Yeah.
And, that's important, and because if you look bored, the fucking audience is going to be bored. And you never know, that might be their only opportunity to see you guys, their first impression and the only impression that they're going to have. So, I hope that you guys have that attitude as well, from this.
I think that we definitely do. Like the way I like to think about it is, like, it doesn't matter if you're playing to like 5 people or 5,000. There's still like fans there. There's still people who've like paid money to come see us, and I don't want people to be leaving, and I'm sure the same as well. Like leaving, and thinking like that, being disappointed, being like, "Oh, that's a subpar show." Like, there's some days where we're like 4 or 5 weeks into the tour and we're like sick, like we're like have a cold or something. But even on those days, you still just power through, and you just do it with a smile on your face. Because that's one thing that I do notice is when we have the energy and like when people see us interacting on stage, that's something that people love. That's one thing that I've noticed a lot in a lot of our the concert reviews of our last tour as well.
Especially on the last tour that
it's a lot of comments are saying that the band, you can tell, are like good friends, and because of all the interactions that we do together. So I'm kind of glad that all of us are kind of like that.
And Geoff is an inspiration for that, because he's 66 years old, and every night is phenomenal, and he has a lot of energy. He's a very strong man. So watching him perform every night, it's also a matter of respect from our side, trying to give our best, just respect the man himself, because it's really incredible.
Yeah, that's amazing that he's still performing like that after all these years, But so I wanted to comment on this because we just, in my opinion, what we just discussed is the difference between an amateur and a professional. Okay, an amateur is somebody that is gonna just do a half-ass sometimes. A professional is gonna bring it every fucking time, no matter how you feel. And
Yeah.
an example of a show I went to where that happened was the band Scorpions, and this was like the early
Yeah.
'90s. It was like the early '90s when Nirvana came into the picture, and grunge kind of took everything over, and pushed out the metal scene. So there wasn't much of a crowd for the metal scene anymore because grunge was taking over. But I saw Scorpions, and I swear to God, there must have been 2,000 people there in this arena, and they played like there was a million. They performed as if there was a million.
Yeah.
And these guys,
Incredible.
as far as I know, I mean, the first earliest album date I saw was 1973. So these guys have been around a long fucking time. And to still, do that after all these years, I mean, that was back in the '90s. They were still, I mean, now they're, they got to be 100 years old. These guys are old, but they're still bringing it, and that should be an inspiration for people and younger artists and aspiring artists, And so I love your attitudes, and as far as, doing your best, not only for the fans, but doing your best to honor Geoff.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys both have such distinct tones and styles. How would you describe each other's playing in 3 words?
Each other's, okay.
Okay, so I'll start. Precise, detailed, and it's hard to pick another one.
It's already enough.
Yeah. So precise,
Thank you for the call.
detailed, and technical
Oh,
as well. Yeah.
thank you.
Very, yeah.
Oh, I would say for James, I would say ballsy, bluesy, and melodic.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, as I said before, it is very, very appreciated by a large part of the audience because of his style. It's lovely.
Yeah.
It's lovely. I love his playing.
Where people can definitely relate to you, obviously, because of the emotion that you put into it, And
Yes.
now, I just want to ask you. I want to ask you, Dario. You're a technical player, right? So, how do you balance? How do you balance emotion with your technical proficiency? How do you
Yes, I think that because when I started out during the 80s, especially in the heavy metal, the camp, everybody was, all the guitar players were technical. So when I started playing and practicing on guitar, I did a lot of exercises. Then I found out that many, shredders, like for example, Ingrid Malmsteen, he never played exercises. But I found out just later on in my career. But nevertheless, I think that growing up, I started to appreciate a lot of the bands from the 60s and the 70s. So nowadays I'm focused on the quality of the phrasing more than the technical side. But at the same time, I try to keep myself in a good shape, technically speaking. So anytime I can, I do some exercises and warm up. But when it comes to playing or improvising or writing music, of course, I like a lot of the classic players, like, for example, Jimi Hendrix, Jerry Garcia, Steve Hackett from Genesis, and I like a lot of the players from the 70s and the 60s.
Now, what about you, James? I mean, who were some of your influences that helped you to develop the bluesy, ballsy?
Well, I mean, we mentioned him earlier, but like David Gilmour was definitely one of them. Yeah, because I mean, I was gifted Dark Side of the Moon by my dad when I was like 6 years old, so the music has always been kind of engraved up here. Rory Gallagher is another example of just a great like Irish guitarist and very blues based.
And emotional too.
Yeah. So definitely like learned a thing or two from him.
Nice.
And then I guess more modern as well is Josh Homme, the lead singer and guitarist from Queens of the Stone Age, because they're currently my favorite band. And um, what I like about his style is it's very unorthodox at times. He had like a polka kind of background, but then he didn't want the guitar to sound just like he would change kind of scales up and put in wrong notes, so to speak. And I've definitely done stuff like that before with with the original music that I do with Mark. I've definitely brought a bit of a Queens of the Stone Age vibe. So I guess probably those three people have been the most like influential on kind of sculpting a sort of sound or sort of sound that I have. I also would say John Frusciante from Red Hot Chili Peppers as well. Like in particular, actually his solo work.
Now, are there any pieces of gear that have become almost like family to you guys?
Yes, the current guitar that I'm playing right now
Mhm.
is definitely it's definitely just become like an extension of me. It's a Charvel Henrik Danhage signature model, and we I don't know. I just feel like because it's kind of a bit road worn as well, so it's just yeah, it feels like just an extension of my hands at this point.
Yeah, yeah, the same for me. Probably the guitar that I'm using right now, it's a heavily customized guitar. It's basically, a melting pot of different instruments, and it's the
Model.
luthier. Yeah, it's a luthier, a friend of mine who came up with the idea, and I must say that now, I've played a couple of tours with it, and it's a little bit beaten up.
Yeah.
So I have to. Yeah, she needs the hospital.
So
But
is
but
it,
it's
is it a brand model or did you guys build it from scratch with parts like Frankenstein?
no like car. Yes, it's
So it's like a
different.
Frankenstein model, kind of like a
Yeah,
Van
yeah,
Halen bass guitar, you know?
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
right.
Yeah, I always have that one guitar for me that just feels like it's perfect, and meant to be. Now, if your guitar style were a movie, what genre would it be for you guys? Like action, drama, sci-fi, and who would play you guys if there was a movie made on you guys? Who would you want to play you guys?
Your first living is.
Well,
Or,
I would say for me more considering my the personality. I think that I've always been, especially when I was younger, influenced by romantic artists like painters and somebody who lived in Germany, a romantic movie about somebody who lived in the romantic Germany of 3,000 years ago.
Yeah, is there a reason why you've chosen Germany? I noticed that you brought that up a couple times.
Oh yeah, because in Europe at that time the romantic culture. I don't know if you ever heard about the Sturm und Drang movement.
No.
It was very strong at the time, and so probably, as I said, Germany, because in Italy we had a similar movement, but it was more provincial, so to speak. So Germany was the the um, the um, the country where all the those ideals developed back then. Yeah.
So that did that influence the Italian movement when you guys were
Yeah.
experimenting?
Yes. Yeah, they did.
Is that what you're trying to say? Okay, that's
Yeah.
awesome, man. What about you, James? Now,
for me, I guess
if your guitar style were a movie, what genre would it be, and who would play you?
it would probably be a Western, like kind of like the good, the bad, and the ugly, because yeah, I actually love like the spaghetti Western style and just
Nice.
that sort of like sound of like a lonesome guitar with like a lot of reverb. Um, I've actually used that sound a lot on the new record I have coming out with Mark,
And the look as well.
and the look as well, and who would play me though in a movie? I mean. Actually, recently there was a very funny comment on YouTube where someone was commenting on the looks of both of us. They said that he looked like Borat and I looked like Indiana Jones. So for that reason, I'm going to say Harrison Ford.
Oh, that's cool. He's awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I didn't get an actor for you though, Dario. You didn't say who would play.
Oh, he said Borat because I don't know what is the name of the actor. But
Yeah, I know.
but if I could change, I would choose like an Italian icon. I love Alberto Sordi, which uh, he died in around 2000, but it was a comedian.
Okay.
It was very, very representative of the Italian spirit. And yes, probably one of the biggest star in Italy. So I would say that I would definitely say Alberto Sordi.
How do you guys navigate sharing the guitar spotlight? I know we talked about this a little bit. Is it a constant dialogue, friendly rivalry, or dance of instinct? You guys kind of already talked about this, how you guys share the spotlight.
Yeah, I'd say to summarize it would be kind of more so like the dance of instinct, as you said, because I never see anything as a competition really. And it's more so we're there to do a job, a common goal together. So we know what parts we have to do. And yeah, so there's no kind of like, oh, I need to play this better than you. Yeah, yeah.
Like, and especially as I said before, it's always a team effort. So we know our individual styles. So sometimes it's not just the tone, but also the technical aspect.
Yeah.
We know that one of us is, better in a certain field of action. And so,
you know each other's strengths.
yeah.
Yeah.
And as a team, that's a great attitude because that is a good work ethic. So it sounds like you really have a good team,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And for example, in the guitar department, sometimes it has to do with the fingers. Sometimes it has to do with the devices that we use with the guitar tone,
right?
Pedals. So it's never a competition. It's just trying to give the best to Geoff and to respect Geoff and the audience.
That's for the project.
Then also sometimes it's also based on, since I do many of the backing vocals as well. So if there's a chorus where there's actually a riff part, I might not be able to play it and sing as well. It just might be easier if I can play the technically easier part, so we kind of we'll make compensations like that for each other,
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's great. That's great. How does Geoff feel about you guys and the way that you guys work together? Now, does he?
Yeah, happy. Yeah, I mean, yeah. There's been no complaints yet, anyway. So,
well, does he kind of just let you guys work it out between you, or does he, throw it in his opinion and be, like, dude, you fucking.
For certain details stuff, he will give his opinion, but
especially during sound check, he remembers, for example, the night before, he said, "What happened there? Do you think that probably we could do like this and that?"
Yeah.
Now, is Geoff easy to work with as far as a leader?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's super laid back. It's pretty good.
Unfortunately, I have not got to see him perform since I was like 11 years old, Like I said, it was my very first show was Kiss in Queensrÿche. Queensrÿche opened up for Kiss.
Yeah.
They first took off their makeup way back in the day. And I just remember they came out, they played their EP, about 6 songs, I think, 5 songs. And I remember he had that weird hairstyle. He looked like the flock of seagulls or whatever, And and they just kicked ass, though. I mean, his singing, his vocals and stuff. I mean, I was blown away, for a first concert. And That was definitely a privilege. When working on arrangements for Jeff's material, how do you guys balance staying true to the classic parts while putting your own fingerprint on the sound? Do you guys stick to the original version of the songs, like note for note, or you guys try to put in your own twist on it?
We basically connection of the band to stick to regional as much as possible, but of course sometimes it's just Geoff Tate himself that wants to change a thing here and there.
Okay.
Yeah. We tend to listen to a lot of the old live versions of stuff as well.
yeah.
And kind of base it off of like the Operation Mindcrime we're doing now. We kind of for me personally, I think I base it off of Operation Live Crime. Yeah. So we kind of 'cause sometimes the way they play things live is just slightly different to the way that things are recorded. It might just be for a practicality reason as well.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome, man. What's the surprising influence, musical or otherwise, that shaped your playing or your approach to collaboration?
A surprise influence.
It doesn't necessarily have to be musical, you know. It could be as much as maybe working out, you know.
I think for me, for myself, it's musical because a lot of people is surprised when I say that I love players like Pete Townsend and George Harrison and also Jerry Garcia. They said, "Oh, it's quite strange," but I think that instead, you know, some people notice that I have a particular like fluidity is correct in my style, and I think that that's because I spend a lot of time trying to grab some details from the style of the of classic rock players and not just shredders. So I think that yes, those three guys are kind of a surprise.
Yeah, it is actually.
They imagine that I spend all night playing.
Yeah, most people would think that as a a technical player that you would be more on the technical side of influences like Ingrid or whatever. Yeah, Jerry. Yeah,
but
kind of surprises me.
But at the time, I spoke to months ago, no, a couple of years ago, I spoke to Vinnie Moore. He's a shredder and he played for U4 right now. And he told me that it's the same for him. He loves George Harrison and spent a lot of time playing not the most technical stuff off of Jeff Beck's catalog.
Yeah.
So it's yes, it can be surprising sometimes, but but it's
also,
yeah.
It's also,
and I guess also my as well.
It's also good to be versatile like that, and open-minded. Because it can help you develop your own voice. So, but what about yourself, James? Musical?
I guess, well, the musical surprise, I guess, is when people ask me like who were my influences, especially if they don't just know me through playing with Geoff. When I tell them it's a lot of blues and a lot of like classic rock and stuff like that, they're kind of also shocked as well. People do usually expect it to be like the likes of the more technical kind of players and
Right.
So
again, who are some of the blues influences that you had?
So it would be like Rory Gallagher, Stevie Ray Vaughan, like Jimi Hendrix as well would be another one too,
Yeah, that's awesome, man. What's one musical or life lesson you guys have learned on the road that you wish when you were younger that you knew back when you were starting out? What's the lesson that you've learned in your experience on the road that you wish your younger self knew back then? Please.
Well, for me, it goes back to one thing that came up at the beginning of the interview. Playing live as much as possible, just to be confident being on stage and being able to convey something to the audience. And the more you play live, the more experience you have, the better. That's the point for me. And
it's awesome. What about you, James? That's awesome.
And I feel like it's probably just down to having the professional attitude.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have always kind of had it, just yeah, like I mean, I'm sure back then I was like very naive with a few different aspects as well. But just having like a professional head where you get on stage, you do your job, and then you don't like cause anything else. Then whether that's like let's say you're sharing a bill with a bunch of bands, you get all your gear off stage as quick as possible. Like you don't play when people are talking, stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Like nowadays that's like that's not an issue or anything like that as well. But I'm sure back when I was 16 and 17 starting, I was
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
a bit annoying to some more seasoned veterans, you know.
Heard you
You
tune
learn
your
along the way.
guitar.
Yeah,
Hear you guys tune your guitar when you're trying to have a conversation. There's nothing more than
yeah,
about that, you know? It's like
yeah,
ding, 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 and cranking it up on fucking yeah, there's guys I played with like that, you know. I'm like, you fucking turn it down, man, you know. Put your headphones on or something, put headphones on. But yeah, that's it.
yeah.
That's a good point. That's a good point, you know. But so how's being a part of this lineup expanded your perspective, not just as guitar players, but as musicians and artists? How has it helped you know, expand your perspective on things? Being a
I
part
mean,
of
for
the
me,
lineup.
mainly it's like just being able to widen my like style of music and style of like my playing style as well, because of having to learn and adapt to playing the Queensrÿche material, you know.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that's kind of like probably the
Yeah,
main aspect for me at
Yeah.
least, anyway.
Yeah.
that's,
And
that's
also,
Yeah,
what about you,
I would say for
Dario?
me that I think also learning how to listen to other musicians while playing, it's very important.
Yes.
Learning how to listen to the other guys in just
mm,
to because when you play, especially with the system that we use, earphones, you have all the details, but you don't have the big picture. The big picture is on the PA, so you have all details on your personal mix, and so I think that you can really learn um, to play with the other guys, listening to the other guys, and try to make a good blend,
yeah,
and not just playing always loud or whatever. You try to yes to change and give shape to your playing in a different way, because it has to be very well mixed with the other guys.
That's great.
I don't know if it makes sense. I'm not a native speaker. I
Oh,
don't know if my English was good.
oh, it was
no,
great.
it's perfect. Yeah,
No, that's yeah,
well,
that was perfect.
yeah,
That was perfect.
yeah,
Great advice. Learning how to listen to, you know, the others in the
Yeah,
bands.
like when you play with other musicians, I think it's very important listening, yeah, to the other
That,
guys.
that's great advice, man. So what do you believe separates a good guitar player from a great one, especially in the context of a band?
You know what? Actually, exactly what you just said there. Like when if a guitarist is able to listen and to be able to actually serve a song, like
Yeah,
just because you can play like a million notes in one like in 10-second phrase
Yeah,
doesn't mean that that's what fitted for the song.
yeah.
It's knowing when to play and when not to play.
yeah, absolutely, yes. And
Yeah.
I think that my answer is similar to yours, because I think that all the great guitar players in the history of music of the instrument, I think that they really left a mark with their own phrasing. You can recognize them.
Yeah.
So even the guys in Queens, right? They really have
Like Chris
distinctive.
DeGarmo.
I mean, they really have a distinctive style
Yeah.
and a distinctive sound, and that makes the difference. For example, if you listen to, just keeping on doing examples in the heavy metal music. If you listen to, I don't know, Glenn Tipton and Kiki Downing from Judas Priest, you can exactly recognize them on the albums. You know,
you
if
can
the
tell
solo
who's
belongs
soloing.
to one
Yeah.
or the other. Yes, they have a distinct that, and sometimes, and that's a great accomplishment. I think even rhythm players, you can really recognize rhythm players like Pete Townsend or Keith
Yeah.
Richards. They are so signature. They have a style that is so distinctive that it's pretty difficult with rhythm instruments to
Oh
be
yeah.
recognizable. You
Yes.
know, I
Yeah.
think that's a great yeah,
That's
it's a
definitely a
great
great point.
accomplishment.
That's an awesome. Yeah, you're right. Having your own voice, being able to, out of the billions of people that play guitar, to be able to be that one person that
Yeah,
has their own distinctive voice is definitely
and
difficult.
with with rhythm guitar is very difficult, and
Oh,
also
sorry,
with the drum, like for example, Scott
you
Rockenfield in
hear-
Queensrÿche, he really had a style, and
Oh,
Yeah.
the original drummer for Queensrÿche. Yeah. Yep.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now, as far as rhythm guitar players go, I'd say that, in my opinion, for metal, James Hetfield's probably the best rhythm guitar player.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
He's
yeah.
definitely got his own
We agree.
style. Disposable Hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever
So
tried?
difficult.
Yes. Have you guys ever
So
tried learning
difficult.
that? Have you ever tried learning that?
No, I haven't.
No, I haven't, but every time I listen to the song, I say, "Oh gosh."
Oh, yeah.
It's
And he does downstrokes, So he's
yeah,
strokes a lot, It's like there's absolutely, how the hell did he do that? Because after probably like a couple minutes into that song, doing them the downstrokes and stuff, my hand is like ready to, if it was a
Yeah.
person, my hand would be ready to pass out, and gas.
Yeah, exactly. I was reading a comment. I was reading a comment that Gus G did on a guitar magazine. He said, "After a minute, you will go to the fucking hospital."
Yeah. Yeah, that fucking song is so hard to play. I still can't play it.
Yes.
That's the most difficult way.
But I mean, yeah. I mean, as we said before, it really created a style. It's
That was his own.
with
Unique.
that rhythm guitar. I mean, so unique. Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, to develop your own unique voice as a rhythm guitarist, that's unheard of.
It's tough.
It's
tough.
very rare, And you just
Yeah.
we brought up a couple of good examples. The most unexpected or hilarious thing that's happened to you guys on tour recently.
No, every day we have something.
Every day it's something new. I had one. We were playing somewhere in the Midwest, and a fan decided to try run on stage because there was stairs right there, and I copped it, and we were starting through the Reich, and I just put my foot out and just pushed him back into the chest, and he kind of got the message and went back down. But the funny thing is, we also have two other Irish techs on stage. So as soon as they saw me, another Irishman, what looked like getting into a fight, I had the two other Irish guys right beside me within 3 seconds.
3 seconds. Ready to fight. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the guy got the message that he shouldn't be up on stage, so it was fine. But yeah, I guess that was probably
So what you trying to say Irishmen have a temper or what? So
not a temper. It's just
don't fuck with an Irishman.
Yeah. Or and especially if there's more Irishmen around, because yeah, we can hunt in groups.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. You don't want to argue with my wife. She's. We're both Irish. Oh, it's like fucking two going at it. So we just avoid it.
Yeah.
But, that's pretty cool, man. So what do you guys do off stage to reset and recharge? Because you're playing for what, an hour, 2 hours, maybe, and while you're on tour, and then you got the rest of the day. How do you guys Usually spend your days other than maybe interviews or whatever. How do you guys recharge every day? What do you guys do? Some people,
For me, yeah, for me and Jimmy, our bass player in the last run, we made a habit of just going out and seeing, just having a walk around wherever we were, even if it was like a small town with like nothing really around, we'd still just go and make the effort to find out what history is there. Like
awesome.
we were in Arkansas, we were in Fort Smith, and we actually went to go see the old fort, and like the museum there was free. So a lot of these places have like free museums and stuff like that. So we make a conscious effort to at least go see stuff like that. I love going to like thrift stores. Like the shirt I'm wearing right now is from a thrift store. I got it here in Florence a few days ago. So yeah, kind of just going off and just doing stuff like that. And then we also like going to microbreweries and sampling some of the local craft beers.
Right?
We usually just get like a small flight, like 3 of them. Yeah, otherwise the show would be interesting.
Yeah, it's not just the case that he goes along well with the Australian guy, because they share a passion for beers. Being Irish and Australian. No, seriously, for me, it's if I have a day off, I sometimes, and we have an hotel room. I basically stay in bed, and uh, I have a large family, so I have to call home and spend time with my daughters and my wife
Nice.
on the phone. But at the same time, yes, I stay in bed. I try to recharge the batteries, and sometimes I also skip meals. Like, for example, because with being on the road, you have to always sacrifice your diet a bit.
Yeah.
And so, for example, if I have a day off, I try to stay healthy. Sometimes, I like, for example, instead of having lunch, I just drink water and squeeze lemons and drink water. Not every day, I mean, but from time to time, I do something like that. Instead, on regular concert days, after sound check, I warm up a bit, do some exercises, work a little bit on music that, for example, we're going to play on trips and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yes, it's important to pull the plug. Is it correct? And go outside and do something else, as James said before. For your mental health. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Then also for me on days off, I do the same as Dario then as well, where like if we have hotel rooms, I'll just like stay away from everyone almost, just to kind of just recharge. I mean,
yeah, that's very important.
Yeah.
We usually, for example, on this last think of dates that we did, we played like 6 shows in a row. So, the 7 days is sacred.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good point, because you're constantly playing every day. You definitely need to keep your health up, mentally and physically as well, especially touring, and that's crucial. I know some people that meditate, like Steve Vai, it's got the meditation thing and for his mind and stuff. And then there's other artists that I've spoken to that work out or they, exercise in that way or whatever. But I can understand where you just want to be left alone too. Just to kind of ground yourself, keep yourself grounded, and not have to deal with all the bullshit like you guys said you've been dealing with right now with the VIP meet increase and stuff like that, Do you guys ever jam backstage or improvise ideas during sound check and keep some of that in your back pocket for like later songs or solos?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes usually when everyone's kind of putting their instruments on and like not everyone's there, we'll just jam a couple of things. And yeah, sometimes it's just stuff that we make up, or sometimes it's like we've done like other songs and stuff before.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes I'll like pick up the guitar and like I'll like we just be playing before everyone else is there, and I'm like, oh, that's
Oh,
cool.
I
That's
like this.
that's a
Yeah,
cool riff
yeah,
idea,
yeah.
and then I'll like save it for probably my own stuff or for
Yeah.
stuff I do with Mark, you know. Um,
Quote and record
but yeah, and sometimes backstage then as well, because usually Dario usually always has the guitar backstage, and then for me, I sometimes have my back there about an hour before the show as well, and yeah, you could just be sitting there in the dressing room just noodling away and stuff, you know. And yeah, sometimes, especially us two, we kind of go into some of the deep cuts of the Queensrÿche material as
Yeah.
well, and just so we can kind of keep it all refreshed up here.
That's awesome. Now, do you like when you come up with an idea or whatever? Do you guys use your iPhone or whatever to record the ideas so you don't forget them and where they're lost?
Yep. Yep. Just a voice memo. Just the quickest way to do everything. Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yes.
That's very cool. How do you guys personally define success at this point in your careers? Now, and has that definition evolved over time? The more that you've experienced.
I I want to say it definitely has evolved. It's yeah, like I mean, the definition of success for everyone is different, and the way people perceive success as well. Like people see, like especially back home, that I'm now like a touring musician, fully like involved in this, and what that might be success to some people. I still think it is a success to me, but I know it's just the next step up and up and up is the way I like to think as well. Like you know, people always say like the phrase like, "Oh, like you've made it as a musician" or something like that. I don't really see it as a case of making it. Um, it's just a journey to kind of. There's no kind of end goal in sight. It's just whatever happens, happens, and
Yeah.
if that gets me more success, then so be it. But
Yeah.
right now, I think it's pretty successful for us because this is our full-time job,
Yeah.
and we're able to like you can support your family on it.
Travel the world.
Travel the world. Yeah.
It's incredible. Yeah.
That's
And
definitely awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome, and that is definitely uh, you know one idea of success. You know, and
Yeah. I mean, to do this as a profession, and not having a daily job, it's in itself an accomplishment
Yeah.
in itself, I think, for a musician. So we feel very blessed and lucky, and
Yeah.
you guys are blessed. You know,
grateful. Yes, and that's the reason why we take our job very seriously. We try to always try to do our best on stage, and
it's a
for
privilege.
example, I love that.
You know, it's a privilege.
Yeah, I love the fact that, for example, we perform more or less the same set list every night. If we're involved, for example, in a particular moment in time on a tour, we're doing, for example, the Mindframe tour, but I love the fact that every day at soundcheck we try we work on details. If there is a small detail the night before, there was something there that we didn't like very much for some reason, we try our best to do a correction, go ahead, and I love that. I love that.
And also like whenever we finish on the stage as well,
Oh
like
yes,
we kind of analyze stuff where it's like we could all have a great show. It was like, oh yeah, that was an amazing show, great crowd. But then we'd be like, oh yeah, but this part here sounded a little weird, so maybe we should go over that again. And we're our own worst / best critics, I guess. You know, yeah.
So, are there experiences that you've had that have been positive from your performances that, as a result, that you now have made, you know, a consistent part of your routine and your performances? You've picked apart, you know, the negative and, you know, critiqued yourselves when you make mistakes or something doesn't sound right. Now, what has there been anything that's uh, on the opposite side, to where it was something positive that you experienced that now
Yeah, because I mean, it would literally be sometimes we'd be looking at stuff like analyzing as well and being like, yeah, like that sounded really good. Like for certain songs, we're like, yeah, we were very locked in there and that, and we'd compliment each other on that behalf. Yeah, when we say we analyze this stuff, we don't just pick out the bad stuff. Like we'll be like, oh yeah, this song in particular, like I remember there was one day when we were saying like speak and spreading the disease, where like so good and like so
Yeah,
precise
besides, yeah.
and yeah, and we were kind of like we'd give each other a pat on the back as well.
Yeah.
We never tried to just focus on what
negative
went wrong. We just focused on the
on
whole
the
picture.
Yeah.
And
good attitude.
yeah,
That's great, man. What do you hope fans walk away with after seeing you guys live with Geoff? You know, what's the impression that you want to leave fans with as they, you know, leave your performance?
for us, since we're doing the Operation Mindcrime album in its entirety, we want it to be a case of people walk away, especially kind of with the more younger people who never got to experience it when it was done back in the 80s, with just a sense of, wow, that was just a well put together show, and we just want to do the music justice, I guess.
Yeah,
Adam, that's a great attitude,
yeah.
you know, doing the music
Cool.
justice, because when, you know, people see you perform live, they're hoping, you know, to get the similar experience as they do when they listen to the album. You know, they're used to singing the song a certain way. They're used to hearing certain reps a certain way or whatever. So, you know, that's a good attitude.
Cool.
And obviously, you guys focus on, you know, doing your best to make it happen. All right, a couple more questions here, guys. Is there a musical mountain you haven't climbed yet? A genre, collaboration, or personal project that's still on your bucket list?
I think that, you know, Geoff has a lot of projects for the future. I mean, for the future years. For example, he wants to play places that he never been before, and that's fantastic for us as well.
Yeah, we're doing one thing in July, I believe. We're playing on a barge in Venice, and the only other band who's done that before is Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, we're getting to do some very unique stuff like that. And I'd also love to play like Red Rocks in Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, like it'd be cool to do some of these like other like historic places. But I mean, we've also played so many historic venues and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
So.
What about in Dario? What about in Pompeii? Didn't Pink Floyd do a show or like a whole show in Pompeii?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? You ever see that video?
Absolutely. Yeah, I grew up watching the VHS of the event.
You and I
It
both.
was awesome.
You and I both.
Yeah.
What about playing there? I mean, you ever?
Yeah, it would be great, even if probably it's not something that the people outside of Italy know, but the place is a little bit dangerous right now.
Oh, yeah. What is the?
Yeah, it's not in the press, but you know, we know that, you know, it's about to explode.
Again?
You know, probably it's not gonna be tomorrow, but the day after tomorrow.
Yeah,
So we're worried.
Yeah, I pray to God for your sake, you know, in Italy that doesn't happen again. You know, especially, you know, the danger involved, but you know, losing that history, you know.
Yeah.
And I know that I've they've got some laser scanning on it to try to get all that laser scanned before it's gone for good. But you know, that'd be very unfortunate, you know. And I heard that it's active, you know, slightly active again or whatever. And there's, you know,
yeah. Especially like a year ago, it was you know, very active, and now I'm not aware very much about it. But
yeah, well, you know, for your you know, the country's sake and the people there, I pray for your sake that it doesn't happen anytime soon. Okay, so last few questions. These are just you know, they're quick fire lightning round, and then we'll wrap it up. For both of you. All right, ready? Strat or Les Paul?
Strat.
Strat.
Strat. Okay. Favorite riff of all time, not your own.
favorite riff of all time. Wow. That's tough.
Whole Lot of Love.
Mm,
Just for the, yeah.
I would say Pinball Wizard.
Oh, what's it? Okay.
Yeah, you're well, man.
Biggest guitar hero growing up.
David Gilmour.
For me, I mean, it's especially growing up, Jimmy Page.
Nice. All right. Vinyl, CD, or streaming?
I'm gonna say CD because I'm starting to collect CDs again, and because my car still has a CD player, and I can't use my phone to stream. in a,
Yeah, same for me.
and I like having the physical options too. You know.
Yeah, I have large collection. I grew up during the end of the 80s and the 90s. I was a teenager during the 90s, so I have a large collection of CDs.
Nice.
So I would say CDs.
For me, it's vinyl. I love having the album to look at, and the cover, and I just love that.
Yeah,
it's
fantastic.
tangible,
Yeah.
you know. I have a shit ton of CDs too, but I love the albums because it's, you know, it's tangible and you feel like you actually own the fucking thing, you know. And as opposed to, you know, if you guys weren't guitar players, what would you be doing right now? Last question. We're wrapping it up.
I would probably be bartending because that's what I did over the pandemic.
I mean, I think maybe a professor.
Yeah, I could see you being a
Probably
professor.
be a professor. Something.
Professor in what, though? What would you say? Professor in what? What would you be a professor of?
Probably, I don't know, music, literature. I don't know.
I wanted to be a gynecologist. That's what I would be doing if I was a guitar player. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're good to go, guys. Listen, I want to thank you again sincerely. This was a great interview. Thank you guys for being so generous.
Thank you so much for asking unique questions.
All right. Take care, guys. Thanks a lot, man.
All right.
Yeah,
Thanks. See you. Bye.